Maid accidentally sent her pregnancy test to her Korean Mafia boss. Immediately, he shut down the entire mansion. 11:47 p.m. The Hanseong estate went into complete lockdown. Armed men flooded every corridor. Gates slammed shut. 47 staff members trapped inside. In his private study, Junho Park's hand slammed onto the table, shattering a $30 million negotiation. 5 crime lords sat frozen in shock. "Boss, what could possibly justify this?" His voice came out deadly quiet. "Find her. The woman who sent this message. Tonight." He turned his phone screen toward them. "Pregnancy test. Positive. Below it, for words. I do not know what to do. Sir, this is just some stranger's mistake. Why does this matter?" Junho's jaw tightened. "Because 3 years ago, doctors told me I would never have children. And tonight, someone accidentally sent me an image of the one miracle I can never have. Someone threw away what I would burn my entire empire for. Find her. Now." 3 floors below, a maid named Amara slid down the bathroom wall in terror. She had just sent her pregnancy test to the wrong person. Not her sister, but to the most dangerous man in Seoul. Heavy boots echoed in the hallway. They were coming for her. She had 2 minutes before her life changed forever. What she did not know was that the man searching for her was not angry. He was desperate. But to understand how we got here, we need to go back 6 weeks earlier, to the moment Amara's life started falling apart. The morning sickness hit her during the pre-dawn breakfast prep. Amara barely made it to the staff bathroom before her stomach emptied. She gripped the cold porcelain, sweat beading on her forehead, her whole body shaking. This was the 3rd morning in a row. She knew what it meant, had known for a week but kept pushing the thought away, kept telling herself it was stress. Bad food, anything but the truth. When she finally looked at herself in the mirror, she saw a stranger, 29 years old, alone in a country 5,000 miles from home, and possibly pregnant by a man who had disappeared from her life like smoke. That evening, after her shift ended at 9 p.m., Amara took the subway to a pharmacy 3 districts away, somewhere no one from the estate would ever see her. She paid cash for the pregnancy test, avoiding the cashier's eyes. Back in her tiny room in the staff quarters, she stared at the box for 20 minutes before opening it. The 2 minutes she waited for the result felt like hours. She sat on the edge of her narrow bed, hands clasped so tight her fingers went numb. Around her, the small room that had been home for 2 years suddenly felt like a prison cell. Bare walls, a single window overlooking the service entrance, a closet barely big enough for her few possessions. This was not how her life was supposed to go. When she had arrived in Seoul 5 years ago, she had been full of hope. A teaching position at an international school. A chance to see the world. To build something meaningful. Korea had welcomed her with its vibrant energy, its blend of ancient tradition and cutting-edge modernity. She had fallen in love with the city almost immediately. And then she had fallen in love with Malcolm. He had been charming, attentive, a driver for one of the estate's business associates. They had met at a company function. He had made her laugh, made her feel seen in a city where she often felt invisible. For 8 months it had been good. He had talked about their future, about traveling together, about building a life. Then she had missed her period. The memory of telling him still burned like acid. They had been at his apartment. She had tried to be gentle, tried to give him time to process. Malcolm's face had gone pale. "Amara, I cannot do this right now." "What do you mean?" "My visa situation is complicated. If anyone finds out, if my employer discovers this." "You mean the baby? Our baby?" He had already been moving toward his closet, pulling out a duffel bag. "You should handle it. Take care of it. I will send money when I can. Handle it." The words had hit her like a slap. "You want me to get rid of it? I am not ready to be a father. I told you that from the beginning. You told me you loved me." His hands had stilled on the bag. "I do. But love is not enough for this. Amara, be realistic." She had left his apartment that night and never heard from him again. His phone number disconnected within a week. His employer claimed he had quit suddenly, returned to England. No forwarding information. Gone. As if he had never existed. Now, sitting in her small room, Amara's phone timer went off. 2 minutes up. Time to look at the test. She already knew what it would say. Had known in her bones for days, but seeing it made it real. 2 pink lines, bold and unmistakable. Pregnant. Her hand went to her stomach. Flat still. No sign yet of the life growing inside. But it was there. Real. Depending on her. Panic rose in her throat. Her savings account had maybe $2,000. Her salary barely covered food and basic necessities. The room she lived in was provided by the estate, tied to her employment. If she lost this job, she lost everything. And pregnant women did not keep housekeeping jobs, especially not in households like this one. The Hanseong estate did not tolerate complications, did not make accommodations. You performed your duties or you were replaced. She thought about her family back in Atlanta. Her mother who had warned her that going to Korea was a mistake. Her father who had wanted her to stay close to home. Her sister Nadia who called every week asking when she was coming back. She had been too proud to admit she was struggling, too stubborn to ask for help. And now she was pregnant and alone and terrified. Amara picked up her phone. Her fingers hovered over Nadia's contact. Her sister would know what to say, would help her think through the options, would remind her she was not alone. She attached a photo of the pregnancy test to a message. I do not know what to do. Please call me when you can. Her thumb hit send before she could second-guess herself. The message delivered with a soft chime. Relief washed over her. Nadia would call soon. They would figure this out together. She was not alone. Except 30 seconds later, her phone buzzed with a response that made her blood run cold. The message was not from Nadia. It was from a number saved in her contacts as Mr. Park. Do not contact directly. Her hands started shaking. No. She opened the sent messages with dawning horror. There it was, the photo of her pregnancy test. The desperate plea for help, sent not to her sister, but to Junho Park, the owner of the estate, the man whose name was whispered with fear, the man she had been explicitly told never to contact unless it was a life or death emergency. His response was a single word. Stay there. Amara felt the room spin. She was going to be sick. She was going to be fired, deported, ruined. Why had she not double-checked the contact? Why had she been so careless? Her sister Nadia's name in her phone was listed right above Mr. Park in her contacts. One slip of her thumb, one moment of not paying attention, and now the most powerful man she had ever encountered knew her deepest secret. She should run, pack her things and disappear into Seoul before he could respond. But where would she go? She had no money, no other job, no visa without employment. She was trapped. The next 6 weeks were the strangest of Amara's life. She waited for the termination notice, for security to escort her out, for everything to collapse. Instead, nothing happened. Mr. Park never called her to his office, never acknowledged the message. It was as if it had never occurred. Amara threw herself into her work, keeping her head down, moving through the mansion like a ghost. The morning sickness got worse. She learned to keep crackers in her pockets, to time her bathroom breaks, to hide the exhaustion that pulled at her bones. Mrs. Kwon, the head housekeeper, watched her with increasingly sharp eyes. Amara could feel the woman's suspicion growing. It was only a matter of time before someone noticed, before her secret became impossible to hide. She stopped eating in the staff cafeteria, stopped socializing with the other housekeepers. Isolation felt safer than risk. At night, alone in her room, she would stare at that unanswered message in her phone. Stay there. What had it meant? Why had he never followed up? Was he waiting for the right moment to destroy her? The not knowing was almost worse than confrontation would have been. Then came the morning everything changed. Amara was in the mansion's main kitchen at 5 a.m., part of the team preparing breakfast service. The kitchen was enormous, industrial, designed to feed the estate's large staff and frequent high-profile guests. Stainless steel gleamed under bright lights. The head chef barked orders in rapid Korean. Amara's job was simple: prep work. Chopping vegetables, arranging serving platters, staying invisible. She was slicing fruit when the nausea hit. Harder than usual. The smell of coffee brewing made her stomach revolt. She set down the knife carefully, trying to breathe through it. "Are you ill?" Mrs. Kwan's voice cut through the kitchen noise. The older woman stood 3 feet away, arms crossed, expression severe. "No, ma'am. Just tired. Tired." Mrs. Kwan's gaze dropped meaningfully to Amara's midsection. "You have been tired for weeks now. Distracted. Making small mistakes." Amara's heart hammered. "I apologize. I will be more careful. See that you are. In this household, we cannot afford carelessness. Do you understand what I am saying?" The warning was clear. One more slip and she was done. "Yes, ma'am. I understand." Mrs. Kwan held her gaze for another long moment, then turned away. "Get back to work." Amara's hands shook as she picked up the knife again. She had maybe days before her pregnancy became obvious. Before someone reported her. Before everything fell apart. She made it through breakfast service. Through the morning cleaning rotations. She was in one of the third-floor guest rooms, changing linens, when the door opened behind her. She turned to find Dae-sung standing in the doorway, Mr. Park's head of security. Tall, imposing, expressionless. Her stomach dropped to her feet. "Miss Amara." His voice was formal, careful. "Mr. Park requests your presence in his study." Immediately, this was it. The moment she had been dreading for 6 weeks. Can I change first? My uniform. Now please." The walk to Mr. Park's study felt like a march to execution. Dae-sung walked 2 steps behind her. Not touching. Not threatening. But his presence made it clear this was not optional. Other staff members stopped to stare as they passed. Whispers followed in their wake. Being summoned to the master's private study was never good. People who went up those stairs sometimes did not come back down. The study doors loomed before her. Heavy oak carved with traditional Korean patterns. Beautiful and terrifying. Dae-sung reached past her and knocked. 3 sharp raps. "Enter." The voice from inside was deep, controlled. The voice of a man accustomed to absolute obedience. The doors swung open, and Amara stepped into a room that would change her life forever. The study was massive. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves lined 3 walls. A stone fireplace crackled with unnecessary heat despite the spring weather. Oriental rugs that probably cost more than she would earn in a lifetime covered dark hardwood floors. And behind a desk that looked like it belonged in a museum sat Junho Park. She had only ever seen him from a distance. Glimpses as he moved through the mansion surrounded by guards. The back of his head disappearing into meeting rooms. But now, with his full attention focused entirely on her, Amara understood why people feared this man. He was handsome in a severe way. Sharp cheekbones. Dark eyes that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Broad shoulders beneath a suit tailored so perfectly it looked like a second skin. A thin scar ran along his jawline, the only imperfection in an otherwise striking face. When he stood, he moved with controlled grace. Every motion deliberate, calculated. The walk of someone who had learned to make every gesture count. "Miss Amara." His voice carried the faintest trace of an accent. British University, she thought. Oxford or Cambridge. "Please, sit." It was not a request. Her legs barely held her as she crossed to the chair facing his desk. She sat on the edge, back straight, hands clasped in her lap. Her uniform felt too tight, too shabby for this room. For this moment, Mr. Park remained standing. He walked to the window overlooking the estate's gardens. 3 acres of manicured perfection stretched below. From this height, the mansion looked like a fortress. Beautiful, impenetrable, isolating. "I believe you sent me something." His voice was quiet, almost gentle. 6 weeks ago. Amara's throat closed. "Yes, sir. It was a mistake. It was meant for my sister. I apologize. I never meant to involve you. A mistake." He turned from the window. His dark eyes found hers. "Yes. That is what I assumed at first. A wrong number. An accident." He moved back to his desk. Sat on the edge of it rather than behind it. The informality somehow more intimidating than if he had maintained the distance. "But then I found myself wondering." He continued, "Why did you have my private number in your phone? Staff are given the general estate contact. My personal line is restricted. Amara swallowed hard. Mrs. Kwan. She gave it to me when I started. Said it was for emergencies only. That I should never use it unless someone was dying. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. And yet you used it. I did not mean to. I was upset. I was not paying attention. My sister's contact is right above yours. Her voice cracked. I am so sorry, Mr. Park. I will pack my things. I understand. You will do nothing of the sort. The words hit her like cold water. She stared at him in confusion. Sir, that message you sent. He picked up his phone from the desk. Pulled up the image she had sent 6 weeks ago. The pregnancy test with its 2 bright pink lines. I do not know what to do. Do you remember writing that? Yes. Are you still pregnant? The question was so direct it took her breath away. Yes, sir, the father. Where is he? Her hands clenched in her lap. Gone. Gone where? I do not know. The admission burned. He left when I told him. Said his visa situation was complicated. That I should handle it. I have not heard from him since. Something flickered across Junho's face. Disgust, she thought, but not directed at her. Handle it. His voice had gone cold. He wanted you to terminate the pregnancy. Tears stung her eyes. She blinked them back fiercely. Yes, and your family. Do they know? No. She forced the word out. I have not told them. I was going to figure something out first. Find a way to manage on my own. Manage. He set down the phone. His full attention fixed on her again. You are 7 weeks pregnant. Working 14-hour days in a household that will terminate your employment the moment they discover your condition. Your savings are nearly depleted. Your work visa is tied to this job. Without it, you will be deported. Is that an accurate assessment of your situation? Amara felt something break inside her. The careful walls she had built. The determination to handle everything alone. His brutal honesty stripped away her pretense. Yes, that is accurate. And yet when I asked if you were still pregnant, you said yes. He leaned forward slightly. You could have ended this. Made it easier. Why did you not? Because, her voice came out barely above a whisper. Because this baby did not ask to be abandoned. Did not ask for a father who would run. And I cannot give up on someone just because things got hard. The silence that followed felt enormous. Junho studied her with an intensity that made her want to look away. But something, pride maybe, kept her eyes on his. When he finally spoke, his voice had changed. Softer. Almost vulnerable. I am going to tell you something I share with very few people, Miss Amara. Something that will help you understand what comes next. She waited, barely breathing. 3 years ago I was engaged. He stood again. Walked back to the window. His name was Sujin. She was everything my family wanted for me. Connected. Elegant. From the right background. Capable of bearing heirs to continue the Park legacy. The way he said legacy made it sound like a burden. 6 months before our wedding we went for standard medical screening. His hands clasped behind his back. That is when the doctors discovered it. A genetic condition. Irreversible. Untreatable. Amara's breath caught. She began to understand. I cannot have children, Miss Amara. His voice remained steady, but she could hear the carefully controlled emotion beneath it. Not now. Not ever. The Park bloodline ends with me. I am so sorry. He continued as if she had not spoken. Sujin left within a week of the diagnosis. Our engagement was a business arrangement as much as a romantic one. When I could no longer fulfill my part of that arrangement, she saw no reason to continue. My family was, his jaw tightened. Disappointed would be an understatement. I had failed my primary duty. Failed to ensure the continuation of our name. That is horrible. The words escaped before she could stop them. He turned from the window, met her eyes. It is reality. The reality of my world. For 3 years I have built walls around that wound. Accepted that some things are simply not meant to be. Power and legacy through business rather than blood. It was enough. Or I told myself it was. And then my message arrived. Amara said softly. And then your message arrived. He moved closer. Sat in the chair beside hers rather than behind his desk. They were at eye level now. Equal. Showing me a child being carried by a woman who has been abandoned. Just as I was abandoned. A child that someone has thrown away. When I would give everything I have built, everything I own, for such a gift. Before we continue with what happened next in that study, a conversation that would alter both their lives forever, I want to hear from you. Have you ever made a mistake that turned into the best thing that ever happened to you? Have you ever been abandoned by someone you trusted, only to find something better waiting on the other side? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you are already invested in Amara and Junho's story, hit that like button. Trust me, what happens next will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about fate and second chances. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because this story is about to go somewhere you never expected. Now let's get back to that study. To the moment everything changed. The room seemed to contract around them. Amara could hear her own heartbeat, could feel the weight of his words settling into the space between them. What are you suggesting? Her voice came out careful, uncertain. Junho's expression shifted. Something vulnerable flickered across his features. I am suggesting that fate has a sense of humor, Miss Amara. That perhaps your mistake was not a mistake at all. Perhaps it was an intervention, a message sent to exactly the person who needed to receive it. I do not understand. He leaned back in his chair. When I saw your text, saw that image, I felt something I have not felt in 3 years. Responsibility, purpose. As if the universe was showing me that while I cannot create life, I can perhaps protect it, nurture it, give it the chance that was taken from me. Amara's mind raced. You want to help me. I want to do more than help. His dark eyes held hers. I want to ensure that you and your child never want for anything. Medical care, housing, financial security, education, everything. Her stomach tightened. In exchange for what? The question hung in the air. She had learned long ago that powerful men did not offer something for nothing. There was always a price, always an expectation. To her surprise, pain flashed across his face. You think I want something from you? Some transaction. Do you not? People like you do not do something for nothing. People like me. A bitter smile touched his lips. Powerful men who can track down strangers from a phone number. Fair assessment. But you are wrong about my motives. Then tell me what they are. He stood, walked to his desk and pulled out a business card. Set it on the table between them. Because when my family abandoned me for something I could not control, no one offered me comfort. No one said your worth is not measured by what you can produce. I learned that power and wealth mean nothing if you are alone. If you have no one who sees you as more than a means to an end. His voice dropped. You said your child did not ask to be abandoned. That you cannot give up on someone just because things got hard. That kind of strength, that kind of loyalty. It deserves to be rewarded, not exploited. Amara stared at the card. His private number. The same one she had accidentally texted. What do you want me to do? Call me if you need anything. Anything at all. Medical appointments, bills, food, a safe place to stay. I have resources, Miss Amara. Let me use them for something that matters. This is too much. Cannot repay you. I am not asking you to. His eyes met hers with startling intensity. I am asking you to let me do what I wish someone had done for me. To prove that not everyone in this world is transactional. That some things are simply right. She wanted to argue. Part of her screamed that accepting help made her weak. Made her dependent. Made her beholden to a man whose world was built on violence and control. But another part of her, the part that had been so tired for so long, recognized the truth in his words. Why me? She asked quietly. You could help anyone. Donate to charities. Fund organizations. Why does this matter so much? Because it is not abstract. He said simply, you are real. Your child is real. And when I saw your message, I did not see a stranger's problem. I saw my own pain reflected back at me. The fear, the isolation, the feeling that you are facing something impossible alone. He picked up the card and held it out to her. Cannot change my past, Miss Amara. But perhaps I can change your future. If you will let me. Amara took the card with trembling fingers. The weight of it felt enormous. A lifeline offered by the most unexpected person. I do not know what to say. Say you will call if you need help. That is all I ask. She nodded slowly. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Park. Junho, he said. If we are going to do this, if you are going to trust me, you should call me Junho. 3 days passed without contact. Amara tried to return to normal. Tried to convince herself the conversation in the study had been a strange dream. But the business card sat on her nightstand. A constant reminder. Then the deliveries started. The first arrived on a Tuesday morning. Boxes of groceries. Not basic staples but high-quality items. Fresh vegetables. Organic fruits. Prenatal vitamins. Traditional Korean health foods meant for expectant mothers. Seaweed soup. Red date tea. Carefully selected with knowledge that went beyond simple charity. Mrs. Kwan brought them to her room personally. Her expression was unreadable. These came for you, with specific instructions that you are to receive them weekly. Amara's cheeks burned. I did not order these. Clearly, Mrs. Kwan's sharp eyes studied her. The head housekeeper was no fool. She had worked in this estate for 20 years. She knew when something unusual was happening. Be careful, child. Gifts from powerful men always come with strings, even if they claim otherwise. After she left, Amara found a note tucked into one of the boxes. Simple and signed. But she recognized the handwriting from documents she had seen in the study. Make sure you eat. You and the baby need strength. She pulled out her phone, texted the number on his card. I did not ask for groceries. The response came within seconds. I know. Do they meet your needs? Why are you doing this? Because you need it and I can provide it. No strings attached. I do not accept charity. It is not charity. Consider it a gift from someone who admires your strength. Despite herself, Amara felt warmth spread through her chest. No one had called her strong in a very long time. The following week brought a doctor's appointment. A private clinic she could never afford. The obstetrician was kind, thorough, and clearly briefed on her situation. Everything was covered. Paid in full by an anonymous benefactor. You are measuring well, the doctor said, studying the ultrasound. But your blood pressure is concerning. You are under too much stress. For a high-risk pregnancy, you need to reduce your workload. Get more rest. High risk. The words sent ice through her veins. What does that mean? It means we need to monitor you carefully. The doctor's expression was gentle but serious. Preeclampsia is a possibility. You need to take better care of yourself. That evening, Amara stood outside the mansion in pouring rain. She had stayed late to finish extra work, trying to prove she was still valuable, still capable. The buses had stopped running. The subway was 3 blocks away. She should have checked the weather. She was halfway down the street, soaked to the skin and shivering, when a black sedan pulled alongside her. The window rolled down. Junho sat in the back seat, concern etched into his features. Get in. I am fine, she said through chattering teeth. The subway is close. You are soaked. It is cold. And you are 7 months pregnant. Get in the car, Amara. The use of her first name made something flutter in her chest. She climbed into the warm interior. He handed her a soft towel without a word. How did you know where I was? She asked, dabbing at her dripping hair. I did not. I was returning from a meeting and saw you walking. Coincidence. She raised an eyebrow. You do not believe in coincidence. You believe in fate. A smile tugged at his lips. Fair point. Perhaps fate wanted me to see you walking in the rain so I could prevent you from catching pneumonia. Very convenient for fate. I find it usually is. His expression grew serious. The doctor called me. About your appointment. You have no right to my medical information. I am paying for it. That gives me some right. And before you argue, he continued, holding up a hand. I am not trying to control you. I am trying to help you. There is a difference. By invading my privacy. By ensuring you have what you need. He leaned forward slightly. You have preeclampsia risk, Amara. Do you know what that means? The doctor explained. Then you know you need to reduce stress. Stop working 14-hour days. Get proper rest. He paused. You cannot do that in the staff quarters. What are you suggesting? Move into the penthouse. I own a building in Gangnam. Top floor apartment. 3 bedrooms. Fully furnished. It is sitting empty. You could have space. Safety. No one watching over your shoulder. Amara's heart hammered. That is too much. It is practical. You need a better environment. I have one available. Simple logistics. Nothing about this is simple. She met his eyes. You are offering me things I cannot repay. Setting up expectations I cannot meet. I expect nothing. His voice softened. Except that you take care of yourself. That you give your child the best chance. Is that so unreasonable? She wanted to say yes. Wanted to maintain her independence. But the exhaustion pulling at her bones, the constant fear of being discovered, the cramped room that felt more like a cell every day. The offer was too tempting. What about my job? Consider yourself on paid leave. Medical necessity. Mrs. Kwan has already been informed. You planned this. Anger flared hot in her chest. You made decisions about my life without asking me. I made arrangements. He corrected gently. But the choice is yours. You can return to the staff quarters tonight. Continue as you have been. Or you can accept help from someone who wants to give it. She demanded. Why do you care so much about a stranger and her baby? Junho was quiet for a long moment. The only sound was rain drumming on the car roof. When he finally spoke, his voice carried a weight that made her chest tighten. Because 3 years ago, when Sujin left, when my family made it clear I was a disappointment, I stood in my apartment and thought about ending it. Ending the pain, the loneliness, the feeling that my worth was measured by something I could not control. Amara's breath caught. I did not do it, obviously, but I came close, and in that moment, I wished more than anything that someone would see me, would say you matter beyond what you can produce. You have value just for existing. He looked at her. No one said that, so I will say it to you. You matter, Amara. Your child matters, not because of what you can give me or do for me, but because you exist, because you are fighting when you have every reason to give up. Tears spilled down her cheeks before she could stop them. I am scared. I know. His hand covered hers. Warm, solid, real. But you do not have to be scared alone anymore. The penthouse was breathtaking. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. Hardwood floors. Modern kitchen with every appliance imaginable. Furniture that looked like it belonged in a magazine. But it was the 3rd bedroom that made Amara's composure crumble completely. A nursery, fully furnished. Crib, changing table, rocking chair, soft rugs, and on the shelf, a small stuffed tiger with a note tied around its neck. She picked it up with shaking hands. Read the note through blurred vision. This was mine as a child. My grandmother said it protected me from nightmares. Perhaps it can serve the same purpose for your little one. The gesture was so personal, so unexpected. Not just material support but a piece of his history, his childhood, his heart. She found him in the living room, standing by the window. When he turned and saw her tears, concern flickered across his face. Did I overstep? I can remove the nursery items if they are too much. She shook her head, clutched the tiger to her chest. No one has ever. Her voice broke. No one has ever done anything like this for me. Then people have been fools, he said simply. Over the next weeks, something shifted between them. Dinners became routine. Not formal affairs but comfortable conversations over takeout or simple meals Amara cooked. She told him about growing up in Atlanta, about her father who worked 2 jobs to send her to college, about her mother who had cried when she moved to Korea but supported her anyway. He told her about his childhood, about a grandmother who had been the only source of warmth in a cold family, about learning early that love in his world was transactional, about building walls to survive. You are different now, she observed one evening. They sat on the couch, her feet tucked under her, him relaxed in a way she had never seen. More open. You make it safe to be different, he said. For years, I have worn a mask. The controlled leader, the fearsome boss. But with you, he gestured between them. I can just be Junho, not Mr. Park, not the heir to an empire, just a man. I like just Junho, she said softly. His eyes met hers, held. something unspoken passing between them. Good, because I like just Amara, the woman who challenges me, who does not fear me, who sees past what I am to who I could be. The moment stretched, charged, full of possibility. Then the baby kicked hard enough to make Amara gasp. Junho's attention immediately shifted. Are you all right? Is something wrong? She took his hand, placed it on her belly where the movement was strongest. No, she is just active tonight. His eyes widened as he felt the kick against his palm. The doctor confirmed it last week. A girl. Something transformed in his face. All the careful control melting away, replaced by pure wonder. Hello, little one, he whispered, his hand warm and gentle on her stomach. You are strong like your mother. Amara's heart clenched. Watching him with her daughter, watching the tenderness in his expression, she realized with startling clarity that something had changed. This was no longer just gratitude, no longer just a powerful man helping a stranger. This was something deeper, something terrifying and wonderful and completely unexpected. She was falling for him, for the man who had received her desperate message and responded with compassion instead of judgment, who had seen her vulnerability and protected it rather than exploited it, who looked at her unborn child with more love than the biological father ever had. But before she could process that realization, before she could figure out what it meant, her phone rang. An unknown number. She answered without thinking. Hello. The voice on the other end made her blood run cold. Amara. It is Malcolm. We need to talk. Junho's expression changed instantly. The warmth replaced by something hard and dangerous. He mouthed one word. Speakerphone. She pressed the button with shaking hands. Malcolm's voice filled the room. I heard you are doing well. Living in some fancy penthouse in Gangnam. Dating a rich Korean businessman. Did not take you long to replace me, did it? What do you want, Malcolm? Her voice came out steadier than she felt. I want what is mine. That is my baby you are carrying. I have rights. You gave up any rights when you left. When you told me to handle it, I made a mistake. His tone shifted, pleading now. I was scared, but I have been thinking. I want to be part of our child's life. Part of your life. Junho's jaw tightened. His hand moved to cover hers. Supportive. Grounding. It is too late, Malcolm. It is never too late for family. Malcolm's voice took on an edge. Unless you think your new boyfriend is going to replace me. You think he really cares about you, Amara? Or is he just another rich man who likes having someone dependent on him? The words were designed to wound, to create doubt. And they might have worked if she had not seen the genuine hurt flash across Junho's face. This conversation is over, she said firmly. I will call back. Malcolm threatened. We are not done. That is my kid and I have rights. Legal rights. The line went dead. Silence filled the penthouse. Heavy. Tense. He is wrong. Junho said quietly. About why I care. You know that, do you not? Amara turned to face him fully. I know. But he is right about one thing. He could make legal claims. Complicate everything. Let him try. Something dangerous entered Junho's voice. Something that reminded her exactly who he was beneath the gentleness. I will handle Malcolm. You do not need to worry about him. Junho. He met her eyes. I promised I would protect you. Both of you. I meant it. I do not want you to hurt him. Surprise flickered across his face. After everything he did, you still protect him. I protect my daughter. If you hurt her father, if that comes back on us. She shook her head. I just want him to go away, to leave us alone. Then that is what will happen. He said simply, trust me. 2 days later, Malcolm called again. But this time, his voice was different. Shaken. Terrified. Amara, listen. I am leaving Korea. Tonight. I wanted to say I will not contact you again. About the baby. About anything. You have my word. What happened? Even though she suspected, she needed to hear it. Nothing. Nothing happened. I realized you were right. I am not father material. You and the baby. You are better off without me. Malcolm. I have to go. Take care of yourself. The line went dead. Amara found Junho in his office. He looked up as she entered, his expression carefully neutral. Malcolm called. she said. He is leaving Korea, giving up any claims. Good. What did you do? I had a conversation with him about the realities of his situation, the gambling debts he still owes to some very unpleasant people, the fact that those debts could be settled easily, or could become significantly worse. His choice. You paid off his debts. I made them disappear, on the condition that he also disappears from your life. Permanently. He stood, walked around his desk to her. I promised I would not hurt him. I kept that promise. But I did make it clear that his best option was to leave. Amara did not know whether to be grateful or unsettled. You cannot just make people's problems disappear. I can. And I did. For you. His hand cupped her face gently. Is that so terrible? It should be. She whispered. I should be angry that you interfered, that you made decisions without asking me. But you are not angry. No, she admitted. I am relieved. And that scares me. Because I am starting to depend on you, starting to need you in ways I never intended. And if you ever leave, if this ends, her voice caught, I do not know how I will survive it. Junho's thumb brushed away the tear that escaped down her cheek. Then let me make you a promise, Amara. I am not going anywhere. Not when things get difficult. Not when the novelty wears off. Not ever. You and this child. You are mine to protect now. And I do not abandon what is mine. Before you hear what Amara said next, before we get to the moment that changes everything between them, I need you to pause and do something for me. If this story is hitting you in the feels, if you are invested in seeing how Amara and Junho's connection grows, hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications. Because what is coming next, the health crisis, the declaration of feelings, and the birth that brings everything together, you do not want to miss a single moment. Drop a comment telling me, do you believe Junho's promise? Can a man really change his entire world for love? Let me know your thoughts. And share this video with someone who needs to believe in second chances today. Now let's get back to the story. Because Amara's response to his promise is about to take their relationship somewhere neither of them expected. Amara looked into his eyes, saw the sincerity there, the vulnerability. This man who commanded fear and respect across Seoul was offering her something infinitely more precious than money or protection. He was offering her his heart. I am yours, she whispered. If you are mine, always, he said. And then he kissed her. Soft and careful and full of promises neither of them could yet put into words. But they did not need words. Not anymore. Everything they needed was right there in that moment. In the choice to trust, to hope, to believe that sometimes the wrong message sent to the wrong person turns out to be exactly right.